Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm so happy that you're joining me and I'm so excited to be here for you. And I'm so... I can't do it, guys. I can't. Do you feel there's more and more of that tone you're hearing? Do you feel there's more of that tone you hear across things that you consume from entertainment? Before you think I'm not making fun of any group. This is just the tone. It's across groups, across gender, it's across everything. It's just this sense of, let's sound more positive, let's sound more happy in life. Fuck off. But I don't know, some people can do it and it sounds authentic. Some people can do it and it sounds shit. Annoying as fuck, as some professional mental health experts put it. It sounds weird as fuck. So, clap. There comes a clap. That's also annoying. Hey, welcome back to another episode, my friend. I think it's great to have you. That's the other extreme, right? My thing. Hey, by the way, I don't know what to make of this time. It's kind of like a weird thing going on everywhere. It's like a bunch of things. It's almost like every weekend on Monday when you wake up, you're like, oh, nothing crazy's happened. In fact, it's 5 shootings, that's it, or 4 beheadings. Like, it's fucking crazy how we become numb and we become okay with it. There's a little bit of uproar, there's everyone yelling, and then it's just like the next thing. It's like escalation to wow me more, shock me more. Just 2 wars broke out? Yeah, 3 chemical weapons were deployed. That's it? Oh, that's it. 5,000 civilians were killed or 80,000. So... yeah. Where do you think this is going to end? I want to know from you right now. It's one of those things, right? Guys, please do like, comment, subscribe, and drop a comment on what you think. Interact with me. Fuck, you don't have to do all that, man. You know me. As long as you're there right now. No, don't go anywhere. Do you subscribe? Or I hope you subscribe to this because that'll be a bit of a bummer in the process of kind of ridiculing what people do, just not have you do what you should do. It's your birthright. It's your obligation to subscribe to me right now. Nah, it's not your obligation. You can do what the fuck you want. But I had something. No, I didn't have anything. I was more just sort of caught up in the flow of that introduction that I didn't really know what I was going to follow with. But yeah, man, at some point I feel there's this sense of what the fuck is going on. Should I be doing more? Should I be getting back actively into stand-up? Should I be doing more active joke writing sessions, or should I be going for more open mics, and should I be doing stuff to get back? But then the other part of me is like, dude, it's only been there's no real rush, because I feel with anything, whether it's you or me, I don't know you well, but I know myself relatively better than I know you, or relatively better than you know me, or maybe you know me better than I know myself. Oh, how crazy is that? That sometimes you need to sort of not desperately hold on to something because that was the best way you knew what that was at that point in time. Did that make any sense at all, that sentence? Basically, don't ever say basically and make the sentence complex as fuck, Sandeep. That's true. Good point. Well observed. I take it. So, with context of what I'm talking about, and when I did my show in 2020, it was like, I recorded a special and it was a good show, and then it's almost in my head that's where it left off. And yeah, I've done a few shows since, but it's almost like, I need to get back to that way of doing stand-up, go hit 4 nights a week, get some jokes, get this. But then you're like, no, that was good or maybe bad at that point in time, but you've grown as a person, and if anything, as an artist, that art form should reflect on who you are as that person at this point in time, not back then or not in the future. Because when you try doing something that you're not ready for, you sound shit. You do something that you've outgrown, you sound shit. So that's something you have to remind yourself, which I think is hard, but it's a very important reminder. Instead of just saying, trim my pubes on November 4th, instead of that kind of reminder, this thing is a more important. I don't know who the hell sets a reminder for trim pubes. Like, how do you know that it's going to have that much growth by November 4th? That rhymed. Oh God, this is scary. Spookily scary. That 4th and growth rhyme. Like crazy shit, bro. But Yeah, if you're the person who sets a reminder for hair growth, you must be quite in control of your bodily functions. But this is something that you should remind yourself, whether it's work, whether you're a worker bee who goes to work and it's some skills you pick up over there, or whether you're a financial person who invests in crypto or dipto and nipto. Yeah. Or you're someone like a musician or an artist or someone. I think you just have to, I don't know if let go is the word, but don't have to hold on. More than letting go, I think don't hold on. Yeah, unless you're a mountain climber. In that case, fucking hold on. In any case, you shouldn't be listening to this podcast when you're up there. That's not a random stranger making noises through his mouth. That was me simulating wind speeds that go past a mountaineer's ears when they're on a cliff face. The SoapyRao show made for mountaineers. Yeah, mountain climbers. Yeah. So hold on, or don't hold on as tightly as you want. So that's, yeah, who would have thought? But I think I'm ready to start enjoying. And I think sometimes, yeah, it's such a weird thing that you kind of hold on so much that you forget to live, you forget to experience, you forget to enjoy, you forget to immerse yourself in whatever you're doing, whatever it may be doing, right? Just, I'm not trying to give you any philosophy that I live by, but it's just something that I kind of experience on a daily basis. And I thought may as well share it with you, my flock. This is the point at which I lost half the Christians. Like, he's not a shepherd. True shepherd is not. And I don't know why they all sound like they go to theater lessons. But yeah, with anything, when you do it well, especially when you do it well, you want to hold on to it, right? Like, oh, I played that song, I played that riff, I played whatever so well, I played that game, I played the last time, it was so good. But treat something you do well with the same approach that you treat when you do something badly. Yeah, see, exactly. My God, SoapyRao, you provide us with the SoapyRao Show Insights. The SoapyRao Show Insights, brought to you by... I have no sponsor. That's usually where the plug comes in. But yeah, how cool is that approach, right? Treat something you do well the same way you treat something when you do it badly. That way, you don't have to put the pressure of doing it well, but at the same time, you want to do it better than you did. How cool is that? Yeah, for instance, if you like spanking yourself, you did it really badly. So what are you going to do the next time? You're going to spank yourself with more dedication. You're going to spank yourself with more commitment, with more gumption. Gumption. With more gumption. So do that. Because if you do something well and then you're like, I do it well, and you go back with that kind of sense, that air of overconfidence, and you're like, I can do it well. And then you're not going to spank yourself so well. So I think with anything, maybe spanking yourself is not a right example, because there's no right or wrong way of spanking oneself. But when you do something badly, you kind of think about it. You think about why it didn't go as well. It didn't turn out as promised, or it didn't turn out with the results that you desired. So you give it a little more thought. You give it a little bit more patience with that. And I think that's a good thing. And that's a really good approach. Yeah. I'm fucking so wise. It's crazy. It scares me sometimes. Take me like a martini. Oh, take me like a margarita with a pinch of salt, baby. I'm just, I'm just immersing myself in these ideas. Let me know what you think. I think it's a good thing, because sometimes I have a really good session on the range, not the archery range. That's something I tend to not focus too much on. Yeah, blind golfer for now, or visually impaired golfer for now. I wouldn't really go down the path. Visually impaired archer. How fucking scary would that be, right? Oh, yeah. But I was on the range, and the days I have like some nice, more good shots than bad. And that's what a lot of people will say when you play golf. It's like not about the good shot, but it's about improving your bad shots, right? I think that's a nice way of looking at life as well. It's not about playing life well. It's about improving the times when life is not going as well. Or rather, more than improving, it's like trying to balance out how those bad times go. Because be rest assured, there will be bad times. There will be some worse times. There will be also some good times. But it's not about just holding on, like that mountaineer to the good times. It's about also letting go of the bad times. It's about, let things go through you like diarrhea. But yeah, man, honestly speaking, I think it's a couple of good things in here. What authentication, bastard. Sorry, my computer has authentication. You don't fucking think I'm SoapyRao, baby? So yeah, let things go through you like the runs. Don't hold on too tight to the good things and let go of the bad things. That's my little extremely important insight. I mean, if you're not listening to this podcast, you're missing out, my friend. So anyhow, I'm just joking. I'm not going to preach. But it's something that helps me. I like helping myself, and if it helps myself, I like to help you. I like to share the love. So if it helps you, I'm glad, and do learn how to spank yourself. Anyhow, on today's episode, my friend, I've got Mr. Aditya Iyer, who is, well, he does a bunch of things. He had a TED Talk, which went viral a few years back. He wrote a book called The Great Indian Obsession, basically about engineers and how every Indian, most Indians, one Indian, quite a few Indians get the engineering degree. And that book also did really well. He's got a new book coming out called How I Met God and Got Into Crypto. He's an author, as you might have surmised, if you're extremely intuitive. He's a speaker. He's also, well, I would say an expert, or he knows a lot about crypto, and he's a very fun person to chat with, and I did what that basically involves. I chatted with him. How else would I know that he's fun to chat with? He's on the other side of this little musical interlude. You will really enjoy this conversation. We talk about all sorts of things like life and how his life took him where he never thought it would, from an extremely disciplined family, a mother who put a lot of emphasis on academics and coming first in class, to being disillusioned with the education system and the whole approach to learning, to spiraling out of control in some sense and having a extremely wild ride, to finding the path to spirituality, to a whole lot more. You'll enjoy this conversation with Mr. Aditya Iyer. I certainly did. And Aditya, if you're listening, thank you very much, my friend, for agreeing to do this episode on the SoapyRao show. And to you, you little devil, I really appreciate you, as always, tuning in every week to this most mind-blowing show that is the SoapyRao show. So thank you, as always. Do share the episode with someone you think or someone you know will like. Is that the right sentence? Yeah, I think it's right. Anyway, it's right enough. So, yes, as always, thank you. Appreciate it. Till next week, goodbye. God bless. Take care of yourselves. Catch you on the other side. Cheers. Mr. Aditya Iyer, welcome to the SoapyRao show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Sandeep, for having me over. Absolute pleasure.
It's it's really interesting to find someone in today's day and age who's spreading a message of, I don't know if I know the message entirely because we just met, but I like what you're saying. Your book you've written about the obsession that we have with engineers. But I think before we get into that, I want to know where you are. I mean, physically, but more importantly, what you've studied or what you have been influenced by in your family has shaped you into, and what your thought process is as a result.
Great. So actually, I don't know how much you know about my second book, Sandeep. So I think a lot of what is there in the public sphere about me is pretty much until 2016 when the first book happened.
Yeah.
The book happened, and then of course that led to a TEDx talk that went viral.
Right. So the first book was called The Great Indian Obsession, right?
The Great Indian Obsession. That's
right.
That's
okay. Okay. So you have a new one out now. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, for those who are kind of listening in for the first time about my story, I mean, I wrote this book called The Great Indian Obsession. It's about what I call is India's fifth biggest religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
At fifth biggest engineering. Um, so a quick background: I spent my initial years of growing in Saudi Arabia, and then my
Uh-huh.
parents packed back to Bombay, my hometown. And
Okay.
there in my school, I like I say, I did two big mistakes. So the first mistake was I was good at studies, and the
Mm-hmm.
second mistake is Sandeep, you'd know this. You're in like Silicon Valley of India, so a lot of kids in the city end up making the same. The second mistake is that I was good at math, and I say good at math, not like the mathematical genius sort of a prodigy, but I
Mm.
mean I knew how to score marks. Let's just put it that way.
You were
I just
academically really proficient in getting the grades.
yeah,
Right. Right.
academically, yeah. See, it's about scoring marks,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
see,
Absolutely.
my mother was a Hitler figure. A quick background is my mother's family. They are very affluent, right? My grandfather worked in the USIS library, and then some
Okay.
things happened. He lost his job. Literally, just one fine day, he lost his job.
Uh,
You won't. The trauma was so bad that his father actually died of a stroke when he got that news.
oh my
Because
God. Okay.
yeah,
That's
my grandfather had four daughters,
right.
my mother being one of them, and so basically just overnight, they fell from affluence to imagine being in like staying in a high profile locality in Bombay, and then literally like next week you're in a chal, right? And I think
That's
what
yeah.
happened, then again the rags to riches, what turned around the fortune of my family, of my mother's family.
Mm.
My grandfather didn't recover. My grandfather, unfortunately, he couldn't recover from the shock of it. So pretty much
Yeah.
rest of life he couldn't work. This is one of those whatever feminism stories.
Yeah.
But literally, my grandmother, because she studied, so she
Yeah.
started teaching kids in the neighborhood. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how tuition pada ki, that's how the entire family kind of goes back into prominence. And
Right. Right.
education, the entire family owes their fortunes to education, and there were all these four daughters also ended up becoming teachers,
Okay.
very well known teachers in the locality, right? Because
Right.
my mother had the reputation of being a Hitler. She was
Okay.
extremely strict. When it came to
Okay.
her students, it was damn like my mother had the license. She
You're
was
right.
the only woman with the license to do anything with the kids. The parents gave her like outright license.
So
Like
she was not just a
my kid.
tuition teacher, but she could even discipline them. She could even like mentor them. She could parent them. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally, totally. So because my mother had earned a reputation of being like this, district disciplinarian who kind of literally took charge of their kids' academic performance and otherwise
Uh-huh.
also. So
Right.
my mother was that. So if imagine if she was like that with her tuition kids, when her
Yeah.
son actually imagine you can imagine how it
So you had
must have been.
really high expectations. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And see, in my case, what happened was I was extremely mischievous.
Mm.
I my this was clear that I just wanted to have fun. My
Yeah.
entire group wanted to have fun. There is not any place, every college that I have been to, every tuition classes I have been to, I've been suspended. I have been reprimanded. I'm that kind of a guy. Everywhere I go, I'm infamous, and in
Yeah.
fact, there's one incident I want to share. There was this physics class that was going on, and my childhood friend, we were both sitting, and I was pretty much bored, and I was doing typical backbencher, and my childhood friend is like this very nice guy. He started abusing at the age of 25. You can
Oh God.
imagine.
Oh no.
Abuse,
Okay. One of
that,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
The problem is that he's my best friend.
Yeah.
That is his problem. He can't. So this, I am doing my regular backbencher stuff, mischief, and the teacher actually reprimands him.
Oh
And you have
God.
to decide that this entire class is shocked. This guy, who is like an absolute nice guy, the entire class knows who is creating mischief.
Yeah.
And he's going at this guy, and everyone's surprised. And this guy also says, "Ma'am, but why me? It is, Adi." So then the teacher goes like, "We all know that we all know Aditya is a gone case, and we can't do anything about him, right? It's your fault that you're sitting next to him." So
Oh.
I was that kind of a figure. Like, but I think one thing I figured out was that I had cracked this code in life. I figured out if I have to do what I want to do, I have
Yeah.
to keep myself happy. There was no way. I mean, I knew that if I have to do whatever I have to do, if I have to have fun, if I have to have mischief, it's very important that I keep my mother happy. And to keep
Right.
my
Right.
mother happy, very simple. I knew what she wanted. She wanted me to score marks.
So
And
I
that
don't
I,
think this is just your mother. I think this is pretty much every, or for the most part, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of Indian parents want that. I mean, I think that's something which is really important. You just highlighted. I think to look past academia and high marks, it's very difficult for them. But you could be a gem of a person who's a bad student. That doesn't work. But as you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. You need to, if you ace it in your marks, I think everything else is forgiven.
totally. I mean, very simple, right? So just score marks. And my case, it was obsessive. My mother, basically, I tell you one incident. What happened? Basically every exam in my school I've appeared twice. Once I have to do it in the exam hall. Second, I have to come home and have to tell my mother my entire answer. I have to take her through it, and
Right.
then she will mark her whatever she thinks I deserve the marks against each question.
Whoa. Okay.
Then
That's intense, dude.
and that then she would preserve that question paper, and during open houses she would take that question paper to check if the marks that the teacher has given matches with the marks that she has assigned to me. Goes and fights with the teacher. That's how she was.
That's crazy. Okay.
My in my school, my mother had a reputation. Like even before my mother comes, they know that she's going to haggle for marks. So it was that. I
And
remember
all
one
this is in Bombay? Was in Bombay?
Bombay. Yeah.
Right.
This is Holy Family's high school in Bombay.
Right.
So
Right. Okay.
I so one day I'll tell you what happened. One day I come back from my exam all good. I'm taking her through my responses. We reach the end of the question paper and I'm like done. I'm happy
Yeah.
because she's happy with my responses. Then what happens is we turn the paper back and there is one question, like a 10-mark question that I had absolutely missed. I didn't notice that question only. And this is like this, right?
Te-
Cannot afford to.
10
Uh,
marks is like a lifetime.
she fights like for every mark.
Yeah.
The
So
teacher
10 is crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like crime, no? It's like crime. You should be imprisoned, uh, and then of course all of those, my rank and all those things. But you won't believe this. I still don't know what transpired. She made sure the teacher called me to her place, and secretly I got to write that answer behind the doors. I still don't know how she managed to do that. I
But
still
I want
don't
to
know.
understand. I mean, this sounds, of course, I'm sure everyone right now, a lot of people listening right now can resonate in on some level with what you're saying. But you have this nature as a person, as a kid, maybe as an adolescent, to kind of do this, right? Get up to mischief, as you said, or fool around and just sort of live life and have a good time. And then the other side, you kind of have this thing, and you figure out, as you said, figure out how to make your mom happy, keep her happy with this. But it's a very high contrast in your personality, right? Like in the sense you have this discipline, not a different discipline, but you have this high standard to live up to. Yet you have this other side. So do you think that you had this thing as a result of such a strict environment? So did you feel that you have to go to the other extreme to kind of let loose because otherwise it was too claustrophobic?
No, actually, see, I see one thing you need to understand. Everything is very contextual. It's one thing to say that beating kids and all of that,
Yeah, of
honestly.
course. Yeah.
But and which is like more like the Western this, right? How can you beat kids, and is that the solution?
Yeah, I mean everything exists as you said in its environment in that situation. Yeah, yeah,
The thing is, see, would I beat my child? Probably not. If at
yeah,
all I have a child, if I would, I wouldn't. But
yeah,
trust, given the era that we grew up in,
yeah,
right? And more contextually, the kind of guy that I was, if my mother didn't beat the shit out of me, I wouldn't be, where I am today.
yeah.
Uh, I think it definitely all of that happened because she was such a strict disciplinarian, and
Mm.
so I think in my case, I can say I'm not going to generalize it, but at least in my case, I can say that the beating is totally justified. And
Okay.
Of course, I mean, I didn't fall in because for a guy who is like me, it's very easy to fall into either end of the spectrum, right? If
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't, if things didn't go right, if I didn't have the right company and all of that, because I go all in. I mean, as
yeah,
we talk more into my journey, you'll figure out that I like to go all in.
yeah.
So
No, you
if
sound
I
a lot like, in some way. I mean, not. I think definitely I can't compare my academic prowess or achievements. I was not a good student in the sense. I, I I didn't have the pressure, because also because of my eye condition. I think people are like, yeah, if he can manage, it's not bad. It's like that's the kind of standard people put on me, and I think a lot of people with disabilities are, well, oh, not bad. He got out of bed. But I I think the idea of going all in, like especially for the things that people don't encourage, like the habits that are not good, I go all in. So I can relate to you on that level. But I you were saying how you managed to find the right path because of the discipline you received. But how did you kind of how was your sort of perspective on the world shaped by this by your family? Because I mean, of course, there's so many things that go into it, not just your discipline and your studying, but other things as well.
Okay, so I'll tell you actually a quick because most people don't know what happened after the first book.
Yeah.
So I'll just tell you a quick story of what transpired. So what basically happened is I was in a strange situation, right? My TED talk went viral,
Yeah.
and at that point of my life, I used to drink every day. Right? For
Yeah.
3 years of my life, pretty much 3 years, I drank every day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I used to smoke heavily as well.
Uh-huh.
So after the first book came out, and even around the time the TEDx, this is what the lifestyle I was living. In fact, TEDx
Right.
talk also backstory. There was I had no intention. It is that I had this affair with a girl who happened to read my book. She happened
Uh-huh.
to be like this TEDx connected with the TEDx organizing committee and all of that. So she
Right. Right. Right.
literally giving the talk. Literally, that's
Which
what
was that?
happened.
Which was the TED Talk? I mean, which city was it in, or which university,
In
college?
Bombay, right next to Shah Rukh Khan's in this college, which is right next to Shah Rukh's Bangalore. Bandstand,
Ah,
beautiful. It's called Father Agnel. That's where
that's where your TEDx was. Okay. Now, I
so
mean,
many.
I want to, and also, sorry, and how old were you at this point when you gave this TEDx talk?
Uh, TEDx happened in 2016.
Right.
So 27. I was 27 by then. I was 27 when the TEDx talk happened. So
Okay.
TEDx,
No. Right.
yeah.
No.
So
So you
TEDx,
said
yeah.
you basically gave this TEDx talk in 2016, and that experience for you, you went. So you said your lifestyle was in that state, right? Okay.
Was in that stage. So I wasn't even interested in the TEDx talk. I was just drinking and smoking away my life,
Hmm.
pretty much. But I think what happened at that point is the TEDx talk went viral. And then
Right.
suddenly I was being invited all over.
Hmm.
Suddenly all these kids are writing mails to me and I'm going to these colleges and my talks were all stand up, they're like stand up acts. I'm just there to have fun.
Yeah.
Uh, no gyan and all those, there was no gyan and all those things. I'm just, because what gyan can a person who drinking every day of his life and smoke, give to these kids? Very
Yeah. You'd be surprised quite a lot.
I thought, look, I am in a very, I mean, I was a little intimidated by this situation life put me in, right? Because I
Hmm.
myself hadn't figured out life and I'm put in a situation. And at that point, I remember I used to see, like, how are these guys who do it so confidently? Like, have
Hmm.
they really cracked it? Do they know? Have they cracked life? How are they able to? I can't, I just couldn't get myself to go out there and, what do I tell this kid who wants to commit suicide? He's writing to me, or this guy who's looking for some sort of career. So
Yeah.
that time, my seeking to know grew intense, and that's something that has always remained with me. I'm genuinely curious. I want to know.
Yeah.
Uh, so I wanted answers, and honestly, at that point, I had a whole lot range of questions, and I desperately wanted answers. The questions were as they were as simple as: are we part of some eighth graders college project? Is this world just a simulation project that an
Yeah.
eighth grader has to submit in his school, right?
Hmm.
And after submission, this will all end. How can we say? How do we know for sure that this entire world, our God is basically not an eighth grader school going boy or a girl?
Yeah.
No, right? Can we say that this is not a computer program of an eighth grader? Don't know.
We
I'm
don't
like,
know. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, will I ever get answers to these questions?
Yeah.
And then life took a drastic turn. One thing led to another. I'm right. This is all part of my second book. I ended up in a monastery for 3 years.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and after the monastery, I came out of the
In
monastery.
India?
Yeah, this was southern India. I don't know if you've heard
Okay.
of Sadhguru,
Yes, of
but
course. In Coimbatore, yeah.
I was in Sadhguru's ashram for 3 years. I used to
The
handle a
Isha
social.
Foundation. Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I moved out of the ashram, which was also
Okay.
like a big surprise move because the I was headed in a certain
Sorry.
direction.
So one second, just to take a few steps back. So you went to the Isha Foundation because you kind of your life spiraled out of control, like your these combination of lifestyle and the emotional roller coaster, and also these questions you're having, or what was the reason to join? Because 3 years is, I mean, of course, people seeking the path of spirituality, it could be even 40 years, 50 years, it doesn't matter time, but spending 3 years at the age of 27, 28 is quite a big leap. So how was that decision taken, and how was that experience?
See, very good question, Sandeep. So what happened basically was that I had some findings from my first book, which also kind of added to my lifestyle then and the depression, because I realized that all of us who have gone through formal schooling
Yeah.
have been tricked, have been
Have been what,
betrayed,
sorry? Betrayed.
have
Okay.
tricked and betrayed big time. Anyone who goes through formal schooling for around 5 to 6 years, school kills 70% of their inherent intelligence. Can you believe that?
Crazy.
70%. And I'm like, we don't even know if we
So sorry,
had
you
that.
say kill intelligence as in it makes them conform to an idea that someone else is prescribing?
Yes, it rewires your brain. It
Right.
rewires your brain totally to the point that 70% of your genius is just gone,
It's
right?
unutilized, or it's just discarded.
You see, your brain no longer can think in that direction.
Okay. So it's
You can't
almost like it's not just keeping it, but it's not just keeping it unused, but it's killing it.
totally,
Okay.
absolutely.
That's crazy.
And it takes a lot of effort. It's not that it cannot be undone. It takes a lot of effort, which until at that point, see, and I was very disillusioned. I said, my God, like, I'm like, this is crazy, the entire humanity, this has been tricked by this small little thing that no one even knows of.
And
Uh,
sorry, this is education specific to India, our education, or around the world?
across the world. India, of
Okay.
course, it's much more magnified the issue.
Yeah.
But across the world, the traditional schooling system is more than like around 5 centuries old, and it was designed
Yeah.
in a certain way. It was designed to create donkeys. The empire wanted donkeys basically, and it did a good job. So
So
it
I
did.
want to understand. Okay, I know you have more to say about this and how the education system kills a lot of things. And I want to back to the ashram and what determined that. But can you just quickly, just maybe you want to take it up later, we can. Why are we so obsessed then by people who are successful in this space, whether it's high ranking um, people who get high ranks in exams, or people who are high scorers through their entire schooling year? Why are we still stuck, if many of us know that this is a system of education that is taking away a child's intelligence and creativity? Why are we still not realizing that we shouldn't reward it?
See, traditional. If you look at historically, from being hunter and gatherers. So back in the day, who had see we are eventually we're all social animals, right? So hierarchy, social hierarchy, and these things matter, right?
Yeah,
Where you stand
yeah.
of things that it's inherent. It's an evolutionary trait that we have developed. So back in the day, it would be established by how brawny you are, how
Yeah,
physically dominating you are, because that was the skill that got you through the world.
yeah,
Right. But then, of course, now we are more in a mental space,
yeah,
right? So people who are mentally kind of, mentally, so to say, superior
yeah.
enjoy higher societal status, and people higher up in the hierarchy.
But clearly,
So,
that mental, the standard that they have determined through education, or the the
right,
established education system, is not a clear indicator of intelligence. It's just some perceived sense of intelligence, right?
that's right.
Right.
But that's how it was for very long. And that's the
Mm.
only way. I think with the advent of internet, a lot of things have changed. And more so
Mm.
over, I would say, the last half a decade, there is tremendous change.
Yeah.
So no longer, I don't think that obsession is as much there as it used to be, even when I'd written the first book. No, I'm not even talking about our parents' generation. Even since the time I written the first book, it's changed. So now
From the
you
past
have, for
5 years,
example,
right? Right.
you see the rise of podcasts. There is another indicator of that. Nowadays, you are judged how smart you are depending on. That's like your social ranking, right? That's like
Mm.
your social currency. Do you listen to podcasts? Like how educated you are?
Mm.
Are you into like these new age technologies like crypto? These are kind of the new age ways of figuring out your intellectual prowess and all of that. So it is
Ah.
transitioning. It's coming to
Okay.
that. I won't be surprised if this also becomes like one of those things. People end up see, I remember in my school days, just to
Yeah.
get that certificate, people used to donate blood because Indians and even Chinese guys were obsessed with certificates because you want to stand
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
are
Yeah. Yeah.
cumulatively 2.5 billion people fighting for limited resource. So you have to
But
stand out.
the same thing you just mentioned, Aditya, like, of course, the transition, it's great to hear that people are transitioning from the traditional um, standards or the expectations. But have you noticed, and maybe you can talk about this, is this idea that whether it's, say, compassion is the new currency, or whether it's innovation or it's creativity and not just, say, academics. Do you feel the reward system is still the same? It's still, we still respect a crypto influencer who's making so much through sponsors, or we still respect, say, a YouTuber who's got revenue, not just someone who loves it because they're good at it and it gives them joy. Do you think you see that happening?
Answer is yes and no.
Okay.
No, I'm saying because a lot of things here, COVID, no,
Hmm.
COVID has changed a lot of things actually.
Okay.
It has changed a lot of things. People now, for example, if you see the Great Resignation, people are
Right.
resigning jobs left, right, and center. Nobody gives a damn about. Nobody wants to go, get up and do something that they really don't enjoy, right? And of
Right.
course,
Right.
of course, they don't. They similarly, they don't even look like they don't look up to people who do that any longer. So
Ah.
even
Okay.
bank companies should see, even it's Meta is no longer the Meta it used to be, right?
Yeah.
Earlier, job in Meta, it was considered a huge deal, or similarly Google,
Yeah.
right? Or Amazon, Netflix, but these days nobody cares. So there is some
Hmm.
sort of rewiring happening. People, I
Okay.
don't think they are giving as much a damn as they used to about these things. But I'm still
Interesting.
actually in an observant phase. I don't know where this is headed. I definitely see some sort of a change. It's not
Hmm.
like before. Even if you look at Bollywood celebs,
Yeah.
man, it's not, and these guys are fantastic. Someone like Ranveer Singh, right? But that superstar status, the kind of fever, frantic fever that these guys instilled, the Shah Rukhs and the
Yeah.
Salmans there. So people don't look up to people as much
Is
as
that,
they.
is that also as a byproduct of a culture that anyone can become famous through these social media platforms?
Yeah. So I think the 15 minutes of fame theory, it's true, right? I think
Yeah.
we're written at a stage where anyone can go out there because
Yeah.
anything that becomes limited and exclusive becomes valuable.
Mm.
That's the fundamental. Why were all these people very looked after? Why were all these FANG companies, the job lower? Because they were rare, exclusive, and hard to get. Anything
Yeah.
that's hard to back in the day, even with superstars, if you see to get one glimpse of a Shah Rukh Khan is very difficult, right?
Yeah.
Unless paper or you that's why you go to the screen. But it's not the same anymore. That sense of
Mm.
rarity, that sense of barrier, that sense of exclusivity is not there. You literally know everything your damn celeb is doing, right? From which
Yeah.
country he's in right now, or where he is. Even if you have to create a movie and put it out there, you need a good camera phone. You just need a mobile phone these days, right? And you
It's
can
almost like life is more interesting than I mean, because there's so many people telling their life stories, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok, or the ability to capture what they have around them. Because you look at even a basic phone, you have, say, 100 million people who can afford a phone, and that's because life is so diverse in, say, a country like India. If they just document that, that is more uh, precious than an actor trying to show how he portrays someone who's in a certain environment, right?
right. See, because everyone wants to tell. See, I think inherently humans. I don't know if you read this book called. Of course, I think a lot of people have read it. Yuval Noah Harari's first book, *Sapiens*. So he
Yeah.
talks about the importance of storytelling and stories, the kind of role that they play, right? So
Hmm.
humans inherently are, I think, evolved to be the. I always say this. I say that uh, life is eventually a story, and
Hmm.
it's only the best story or the best storyteller that wins, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we are all just. We are all individually just walking, sleeping, breathing stories, right?
Yeah.
So that's who we
And
are.
that's pretty much, we give it different labels in how those stories are told, whether it's a filmmaker, whether it's a director, whether it's a CEO, whether it's a doctor, and essentially, even if it's a doctor who's really qualified to do something with the brain, they still want to come and be recognized for the story, right? I think it's in some sense that itself is a story, and it's quite amazing how we get blind to the idea that these labels differentiate us, but we can find beyond those labels that there's actually something that connects us all, which is this need to tell and need to be heard.
Yeah. So I think coming back to the spiritual part of it,
Yeah.
in the spiritual realm, there's a saying that life is a dream. So whatever God is, we are all just part of God's dream, right?
Yeah.
And we all just stories being dreamt by Him. That
Yeah.
is what one explanation for life is.
Hmm.
So yeah, inherently, I think we are all because poof, no, in the larger scheme of things, if you see just human life 60, 70, and also average life expectancy these days.
Yeah.
80 you live max, what is it? In the larger scheme of things, that's nothing. It's just poof, one story that's come and gone, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But
that's
having said that, which is very true, I mean, the less you think of your existence as something which is so important, and you tell yourself, "I'm important, I'm going to do so much," and give your ego so much fodder to grow and give this false sense of importance. But yeah, I think that's true. You're just gone. You're just another story. You had this opportunity, but you were so worried about the end that you didn't really experience enjoying the present. But having said that, do you think we live in a culture where we're told that you're important with all these various tools, these various platforms, that you are something when sometimes you might not be?
Oh, totally. I think in subtle ways it always happens. When you're growing, also every parent thinks that their child is in India, especially because there are so many gods. Eventually, everyone's named after one god or the other. So
Yeah,
eventually,
yeah.
inherently grow up identifying yourself with special. But see, there are two things to it. Now, see, um, if you have to do some things in the world, right? For most people, unless if you don't consider yourself as important,
Yeah,
or if you don't consider what you're doing as important, you won't be able to do stuff in the world.
yeah,
Then you go to a monastery or you just live in the Himalayas. That's a totally different thing, if that's the goal of your life.
yeah,
In some way, but it has to be moderated, it has to be regulated, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because um not everyone is capable of that. I'm saying it's not. What I'm saying may be contrary to what a lot of people, especially in the spiritual circle, will say. But I'm saying it for a reason. Most people, the way they are, see, in
yeah,
spirituality, what we are trained is a completely different way. I'm not even talking about people who are on the path and how they operate in the material world. I'm talking most people who are just know the material world, unless and if they have to operate, if they have to do things, if they have to make things happen. Now, for example, Elon Musk, if he did not genuinely that changing the world by bringing out
these,
these fancy electric vehicles, he won't
yeah,
be able to do those, right? If
absolutely,
he did
because that triggers the conviction, the dedication, the belief. You need to have the
all those,
belief. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. And if he didn't think what he is doing important,
yeah,
or for that matter, people around him don't think that he is important,
yeah,
those things happen. But the thing is, yeah, you have to draw a line. Where do you draw a
yeah,
line? Spirituality, that's where the training that we are given, especially where I come from and where I am in right now, space where we are trained is how to be completely involved. See, even if you look at our gods, right? So our gods traditionally haven't been folks who just kind of, uh, who just retire. That's another kind of separate, different kind of beings. But if you look at the most popular ones, if you look at Shiva, if you look at Rama, if you look at Krishna, guys who've done there, gone there, fought a war, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
been around with women, totally involved,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, not touched by any of it. They didn't let any of that hamper it.
So
So,
it's to immerse yourself in, yeah, I mean, because it's something I've been reading about as well. And it's very interesting because, as you said, even just thinking of when you think of being mindful or when you're in a state of when you're trying to meditate, everyone thinks 10 minutes or half an hour or 50 minutes. I keep increasing that level of focusing and sitting on my mat and thinking of bliss and no thoughts. But realistically speaking, we apply the ego even to that. Like when actually you don't have to go to the Himalayas. If there's no point going to a retreat and at the same time saying, I'm more qualified on the path of spirituality. It's about, as you said, immersing yourself in this human experience without being influenced by its, not influenced, maybe the wrong word, but being controlled by its outcome, right?
yeah. So see, and that's something that I'm really working towards also. So traditionally, if you've seen the problem that has been with India,
Yeah.
is I grew up in the 90s, and I remember in the 90s when I grew up, there was this phase that was. So I give set some context. My next book is called How I Met God and Got into Crypto.
Oh,
A
very
true story.
interesting. Okay. Okay.
That's what it's called. It's a true story. So how I met God and got into crypto. Now
Yeah.
this is very ironic because I like a guy like me to meet God or even so because I grew up in an India where very condescendingly our history was referred to as a Hindu rate of growth. I don't know if remember this, Sandeep. Growing up, condescendingly our pre 1991 rate of growth used to be called as Hindu rate of growth, around 2 to 3%, 1 to 3%, whatever.
Okay.
This is basically because Hindus traditionally, known to be more spiritual, less materially inclined, and not
Uh-huh.
interested in economic growth and all of that. Uh, so,
I didn't know this. Okay.
yeah, so generally in India, I mean, I have seen is either if you're spiritual, then you're completely, you want to go to Himalayas and sit, or
Exactly. You're in Haridwar all the time, or you're on some yatra, going to Kashi or Kedar,
right.
or yeah. Got it. Yeah.
That's what I've seen. Even the youth these days, see, you can't take spirituality out of India. Even the kids that you there, I know kids like, who are in their 20s, hardcore. They just want to go to these places and be there.
Yeah.
Then there's another section of folks where they're completely oblivious to that possibility of like what spiritual, they're completely immersed in material,
Yeah.
right? So both folks, I think they miss out on the other possibility. So what I would traditionally want to work to, what I'm working towards is to build like a 360-degree human, right? In a way
Yeah.
that you can be very, very intensely spiritual at the same time operate in the in the world,
Yeah.
uh, without people even knowing that you're such a spiritual person, right? And that's what I
That's
have
what
got.
sometimes you wonder, right? When you think of whether you read the writings of Paramahansa Yoganand, or you read about whoever the great yogis were and the great yogis are, you think, oh, maybe I can be that. But that's the idea of spirituality, is to enjoy what you have now in the moment, right? Not to be at some point to aspire to a realization, because you end up wasting this experience that you're given trying to be something that you might never be, which is totally against what a spiritual realization is, right?
Yeah, see, Yogananda Paramahansa, he came at a different time.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
he had a different role to play. It was a completely different era. Yogananda
exactly.
Paramahansa,
Yeah, that was his role, and that was his time, and that was his experience. Yeah, yeah,
he came today, maybe he won't be walking in that. Maybe he'll be wearing a white shirt and
yeah.
denim jeans and sitting,
Maybe
right?
he'll be wearing a Being Human T-shirt. I hope not.
Uh, I don't know if that would be his aesthetics, being human, but
I
that's
know, I know. Knowing him, probably not. But who knows? As you said, well pointed. Like he could be in any other role in this time and space. Yeah, yeah,
talking amongst us, talking in a language that is. So people have a stuck-up image of spirituality. For them, it's
yeah,
always about what they see in that B.R. Chopra Mahabharat Ramayana in TV show, or
yeah,
the character that is there in the houses. No, they
yeah,
think
yeah,
that the idea of spirituality is that. So, for example, even when see someone like Krishna came, uh, who would have thought? He is the god
yeah,
himself. He was equally involved with the women in his life. He was equally involved with, as a master, he was he was a guru to Arjuna, and then of course he was a master strategist.
Yeah.
His army was actually, that is why the Kauravas, because he gave a choice to both Duryodhana and Arjuna. He said, "Look, there are two things. One of y'all can have me. One of y'all can have my army." His army was like, this Krishna, right? So
Yeah.
he only does the best. So his army
Yeah.
was the best of its time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
this Duryodhana said, "Okay, I will take your army." It was a no-brainer for him. And
Yeah.
Arjuna said, "You can have his army because I just want him."
Yeah.
So nobody could figure out. I mean, who would have thought that he is God, right? He could be God, but
Mm.
he was involved. He was a fantastic flute player. He did everything that humans did completely. But of course,
Yeah.
that he was who he was. So see, that's where my idea is to get people there, so that you
Yeah.
are absolutely spiritual, like God Himself,
Yeah.
but at the same time equally involved in the material world and do things, make things happen in the world.
Yeah, because if you sit on a cushion or under a tree and meditate the whole time, you need to eat, you need to think, and that's exactly where I want to take this conversation is we sometimes think, and this is a very easy that way of thinking is to be opposite of what the existing establishment is. So when it says your reward system of money and this, and everyone's like, no, I shun money, I shun work, I think that's where you're coming or you're going, heading in this space is to not have a reactionary movement saying because you have to work, you have to appreciate what money can do, while at the same time not be obsessed with making more and more money and just sort of hoarding it, right? Is that something which drives your philosophy in the way you're working?
See, I'll tell you what the problem is in Hinduism. Fundamentally, they say there are three gods, right? Three aspects: Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Okay,
Right.
Brahma is creation, Vishnu is maintenance, and Shiva is destruction.
Right.
If you look at in any aspect of our life, these three aspects are dominant. Now, for example, let's say you want to lose weight. Let's say
Yeah.
someone you want to lose weight. No, you enroll for a gym membership. That creation part is easy for most people. It comes.
Yeah.
They will, because starting a gym, going enroll gym membership is easy. On 1st of January, they will go religiously and
Yeah.
whatever they will enroll.
Yeah.
Then what they do is the destruction also comes easily because the Shiva aspect of it, because they stop going within
Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 days, they'll stop doing and going.
Yeah.
Maintenance is difficult.
Yeah.
Maintenance means actually doing that one damn thing consistently, unfailingly, unwaveringly. And those are the guys who eventually succeed in the gym. Also, it's not the guys who enroll for membership. Neither are the guys who move on. The guys who diligently go every damn day without fail,
Yeah.
ones who end up getting the desired results. Then, if you look at uh, then there are other in the different aspects. Maintenance comes easily, destruction comes difficult. For
Yeah.
example, if you want to get rid of, you're born with a certain tendency or a habit,
Yeah.
right? It's very difficult if you're someone who gets up late. You
Yeah.
want to keep
Very easy to
maintaining.
create and maintain, but hard to get rid of. Yeah.
Yeah.
With
So
anything, with whether it's cigarettes or alcohol, all that's a similar problem
exactly.
there. Yeah.
So most humans are lopsided. They have
Mm.
either any one of these aspects. That is, see, creation is relatively is a different ball game. It's there. So mostly it's about the maintenance and the destruction.
Destruction.
So
Yeah.
people are lopsided. Either they are very good at only maintaining and not destruction, or they are very good at just destruction and not maintaining. So people
Mm.
who shun, generally they are more in the destruction front. They just want to shun everything,
Yeah.
right? So they think it's a
Very
very
interesting. Yeah.
they
No,
just
because
think
it's
it's
almost like you have to have a combination of knowing where to have the distraction. So if it's something which is not good for you or the people around you, you need to know when to apply the destruction part, when to apply the maintenance part, when to and creation. Some of us have more of the tendency to create than others. It's very an interesting way of looking at what we do.
yeah. So the balance is not there for most people. So it's always
Yeah.
lopsided towards one aspect.
Yeah.
So that's why you will find people who are either just very very spiritual, extremely spiritual, shunning everything,
Yeah.
or people who are extremely material and they don't care about those facts. So that is something that I want to change in the country.
So this book of yours, and it's what you spoke about. Um, you basically it's from your life after the first book to this entire spiraling out of control to finding a spiritual practice that you can apply, which helps you exist in this world without being detached and having a sense of balance. Um, what is it? The point of it, like what do you want to do with it? But of course, you mentioned that you want to help people develop a 360 way of looking at themselves and existing, but I mean, this obsession with engineering to this, it's quite a big jump. So what drove you to do that?
See, very simply put, it's about finding your purpose in life, right?
Yeah.
What happened in the journey, and this is a journey for most people. When you come, you're obviously, because see, you probably didn't ask for it. You just came. Nobody took your permission when you were born.
Yeah.
Your parents came together and you happened. Nobody took your permission. Now you're here. Now
Yeah.
what do you do? Damn, what you do? Like you have two hands, legs. This life is there. What are you supposed to do? So obviously, your inherent. This is people who come before you. They know. So you listen
Yeah.
to them. That's
Yeah.
a tendency. So people who come before you, your parents, your whatever, and the elders, you listen to them because you know then you realize, oh my God, like once you do what they use, realize, man, these guys also don't know anything. They have also been just, fluffing and
Yeah.
somehow they have, so then you set on your, once you reach to that point, see for different people, it comes very at different stages. Some people, they do engineering, MBA, get married, job, get kids, grandkids. At that point, eventually they come to know, oh my God, life was a lie.
Hmm.
For some people, it happens early on. They have the sense and intelligence very early on in engineering. For me, it happened in engineering.
Right.
I figured out that boss, nobody knows any damn thing in this world. Everybody is just fluffing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I set out on my own journey to figure out life. So
Which is quite
basically, that,
impressive at that age. I mean, at 1920s, as you said, it doesn't occur to everyone. I mean, I kind of was on the same path of just material recognition, gathering more, attaching more to myself, thinking that the more I have, the more I'll be respected. And that sort of leads to a sickness in the mind, which then encourages more habits like, partying, drinking, smoking, then lying. And then, fortunately for me, the pandemic 2020, when it think was a time to actually take a step back and look at myself, and it was not easy at the age of at the age of 37, 38. So it must have been tremendously liberating, at the same time quite impressive and difficult to sense that everything's a lie and you're being fed all this bullshit by people who don't know anything more than you. Maybe they have a few years behind them, but besides that, so it must be quite. So what? I don't know if that's the right question to say. What did you feel? But what was that aha moment?
yes, see, that search was always there. So the exploration began. I think
Hmm.
books played a huge role in kind of, helping me explore life. I remember two books that particularly that had a huge impact on the teenage me is one is Richard Branson's autobiography called, Losing My Virginity. And
Right.
the second, Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography. Very unlikely of a guy like me who have picked that up and loved it so much.
Right.
So these books really, really set me on a journey. And of course, I was so inspired by them. I had my own startup when I was in college, which did
Yeah.
quite well. But then I didn't want to sell. I used to sell T-shirts, and
Okay.
I just got sold T-shirts, won a couple of awards. I was on national TV and front page newspaper, and all those things happened. But
Yeah.
then I asked myself a fundamental question. I didn't opt for these placements and all those things.
Uh,
He said, "Do I want to? If I don't sell T-shirts, is it if the world has one company not selling T-shirt, is it going to make any damn difference in the world?" Right? I said, no, neither is it going to make any difference in my life if I don't sell t-shirt, neither in anybody's life. Why should I invest my life on this? Then I did something even more ridiculous. I went to sell chai. I was in Bangalore. I was selling chai.
okay.
The hunt kept going on. Eventually, of course, then book happened, TEDx talk happened.
Right.
Then I did something unimaginable because I was so desperate for answers. I had done see by then I had done a lot in the sense a startup हो गया, चाय बेच रहा था, book लिख लिया, quite
Hmm.
a few things. I mean, by the time I was 25, so I was, and I love movies. I love watching movies, documentaries. So I had even done those things, like, maybe the answers are there.
Yeah.
Then I said yoga and spirituality and all were not something for me. I mean, I was living a totally different life. But my desperation was so much to know that I said, "Isko bhi de denge, try. We'll try." So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm willing to try. So I did a couple of things. I did this 10-day meditation retreat called Vipassana,
Hmm.
and some things I has to just do on my own, and many things, some body experiments. I used to just eat raw food for some time. There's something called a semen retention. There is no fap. I don't know if you heard of this, where you refrain from any form of sexual activity, masturbation, pornography, etc., or sex,
Right.
of course. So, I tried every damn thing, yeah. And then I think what really changed is when I learned this thing called inner engineering.
Hmm.
Sadhguru, that's Isha Foundation and Sadhguru's
Yeah.
flagship offering called
Right.
inner engineering. It's like a 21-minute kriya. And I
Okay.
simply kept at it, no matter which part of the world I am. I just simply kept at it. Those 21 minutes I gave myself. That
Right.
opened up a new world to me.
Hmm.
Then is when I was exposed. See, because spiritual is all experiential.
Yeah.
Spiritual is all, it's a completely experiential education. Now, for example, see, I don't know if you've seen this movie called Arrival. Have you seen the movie called or heard of this movie called Arrival, Sandeep?
No, I haven't. I actually,
There's an
I'm not
audiobook also.
really.
There's an
I'm sorry.
audiobook. There's an audiobook also of the. In fact, it's a book I think that's
Made
adapted
into a
into.
movie. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out because I haven't heard of this.
So Arrival, it basically talks about human language. Human language inherently has limitations. It
Yeah.
cannot explain. So, for example, if you have to explain an orgasm, let's say you and your viewers, and nobody has experienced orgasm, and let's say for
Yeah.
some chance you happen to be the first person to experience an orgasm.
Yeah.
Your viewers are curious. They want
First
to
come,
know.
first serve. Yeah. No pun intended. Sorry. Had to do that stupid joke. Sorry, dude. Anyhow, you were saying. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It becomes difficult. How are you going to explain orgasm to
It's
someone?
through the words we are taught. Yeah, through language. Yeah, yeah,
Human language inherently has limitations. It's not
yeah,
possible. For example, if somebody asks you how does pastry taste, it tastes
yeah,
nice. Can you be more
yeah,
clear? It tastes sweet.
yeah.
What if the guy asks, tell me what is sweet? How can you tell him what is sweet? You can't, right?
Yeah. You and in fact to make simpler concepts understood, you end up using more complex words, and that's when uh, you think you're doing a better job, but you're actually adding fancier and fancier grammar or vocabulary, thinking, "Oh, I'm doing a great job," and then we reward those people saying, "Come on, Master Chef." But actually, you're right. The simpler the concept, the harder it is.
Yeah. So that is what. So spirituality is basically is you can learn spirituality only by experience.
Yeah, yeah,
It's experiential learning. There those things you have to experience for yourself, and it's an individual. See, even if let's say in my experience, if I say Sandeep, this world is a matrix. This is not base reality.
yeah,
Okay, let us all get out of this. See, it's not going to make any damn difference for you. Although you believe me, although you trust me, and you
yeah,
know that I'm saying, but in your
yeah.
damn life, it makes no difference because
At
you
the same
haven't
time, what you
experienced.
did to reach this level of awareness and understanding also might not be the same process for me. It doesn't mean I do the same five things that Aditya did, right? It doesn't mean I have to read these exact books. Of course, all these resources will help point you in the right direction, but it doesn't mean that there's one path to awareness or awakening or spirituality. It could be anything for anyone.
Yeah, I mean that's true for anything. No, in life now, even if you
Yeah,
want to do any course,
yeah,
if you want to do a course in digital marketing, there are just so many courses out there. You have to figure out which one do you want to do, which
yeah,
one works with best with teacher, and same things you see. Which one has maximum. It's the same in some way similar, not exactly though, but some way similar.
yeah. No, I
Um,
think what's really important you mentioned is that it's not in spirituality and maybe in other things as well. It's not about how many books or how many courses or how many programs you attend, how many workshops, but it's about, even if it's, you mentioned digital marketing or spirituality, it's, if you don't experience it, there's no point just hoarding all that knowledge.
yeah, so that's what's happening. No? Most
Yeah,
people. See, that's why people. Even the book that I'm writing, I
yeah,
am just gossiping. Because see, if I tell also a lot of things,
yeah,
it won't make any difference in your life
yeah,
unless you go and experience it yourself. maybe fine, I can tell you some things that I've experienced to the point that it gets you curious.
Yeah. That's it's a nice
Mm.
thing to sort of. It's almost like a little a cue card saying this is what worked for me. So it at least heightens your interest. Yeah.
So when I am writing the book, it's not a spiritual book, because I don't, unless it's with some people, I don't talk about much about spirituality and
Yeah.
uh, and all the thing. So it's a personal journey. So what I can do, of course, I can create a curiosity within you. I can sow
Yeah.
a seed. I will sow a seed. So that's what it is. So it's a personal journey. It's not a one size fits all, and it's a completely mad journey. So it's a mad journey, and yeah, to each his own. But I think what's really important is, I think, a curiosity to know. As long as you can hang
Yeah.
on to that curiosity.
Now, one more thing you were talking about is how we have the difficulty in communicating through language. And can you just talk a little bit more about that? I think I cut you off at that point.
Yeah. So language inherently, human language has limitations. So there are some things you cannot explain. How
Yeah.
do you explain what sweetness is? You cannot.
Yeah.
So you have to just, there are many, life can essentially be figured out only by experience. It cannot be figured out by learning, by reading, by watching, right? You take Bhagavad Gita also. I think you cannot things if you can figure out life just by reading something, it's, everyone would be enlightened by now, right?
Yeah.
But everyone would be a Buddha by now. So and it's beautifully designed. Life has been beautifully designed. Whoever, I don't know, whoever the creator is, whatever it is, very intelligent, very, very intelligent.
Yeah.
It's been made in a way that um, everybody kind of, it's very personal, it's very intimate to that person, and it allows everyone to explore on their own. So it's a fantastic game. Life, I see, best way to treat life as a game. And if you play a game, always, nobody plays a game to lose. Everyone plays a game to win. You just have to see. I remember when I love these cheat codes. Any
Yeah.
game, I was playing, and then very quickly I would just search for the cheat codes,
Right.
right? So you need cheat codes to crack, to win the game of life as well. For me, yoga was one of those cheat codes. I'm like, when I learned that, I was like, okay, this works. This is a
It's
hack.
nicely put because I think a lot of people can relate to the cheat code concepts. I think that's nice. That's one of those things you got their curiosity. I think by saying it's a cheat code, it's a relatable language. Yeah, it's nice.
So that's what I figured out. See, most of my life, I just figured out, look, what I'm doing is, in many ways, I'll give you this example, Sandeep. I used to wonder when the Bombay Metro had newly launched, and they used to have these automated ticket counters. And now
Yeah.
Bombay, traditionally, if you know, because of the Bombay Railways, you stand in the long queue. It was for the longest a manual
Yeah.
process, no? You go stand in the queue and you physically get a ticket. So this concept was new. Metro concept was new. And I used to get my metro ticket literally in a few seconds.
Yeah.
Now you ask me how, why? No rocket science. There is this auto tele machine that nobody was using. It's there.
Everyone was just going to the manned counter, right?
They prefer going to the manual counter.
Yeah.
So so all these things that are these secrets and hacks and the
Yeah.
cheat codes all there. For you, it may be a big thing because you are used to, standing in the line. But for me, it's as simple. It's there. It's lying right there, and I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Then you, okay, Adi, you kind of somehow you manage to always, get your way through life. Right? It's there. I mean, how? What do you mean?
I'm
I
just
get
keeping my eyes open. Yeah, physically and in more
I know
ways.
there, and I don't have any apprehension in going and using that ticketing counter. So that's how
Yeah.
it is. That's what I felt. See, देखो अभी इंडिया में engineering का craze कितने time से है?
Yeah.
Tell me, why did nobody think of writing a book on it? Can you tell me why? I found it ridiculous. How was I the only person at that
Yeah.
point? I don't know if there are any more books in the market like that, but how can nobody have thought? Because after the book came out, many people said, man, yeah, this is such a, that
Yeah.
engineering opportunity is there. Why didn't we think of, of doing this? I'm like, I
There's
don't
actually
know.
no good reason at all. It's easy to sort of speculate in hindsight, but at that point, yeah, it just wasn't done, and it should have been done, and you did it.
Yeah.
which is good. Now, I want to understand, since you mentioned the new book's called How I Met God and How I Got into Crypto. Can we go a little into that before we wind up today? Just I want to understand, because you can treat me as someone who knows nothing about crypto. um, Maybe also how it works, in the sense, not actual the workings of crypto, but how it is going to work as a currency, as a mechanism to maybe not undermine or replace, but just to sort of complement the existing financial structure, and also what it involves, because you are, I think I'm a few years older than you, so maybe I'm a little disconnected from the reality, but how what Mark Zuckerberg's vision for Meta, this virtual reality universe, and you put that with this currency that doesn't have a governing body into play. What is your learning in this space, and what do you sort of project going forward?
See, crypto basically, a lot of people, why my interest came in crypto is not because of the technological revolution of it. Crypto, I figured out that it's actually primarily a cultural revolution that is backed by technology. What is this cultural revolution? Cultural revolution is decentralization. That's the backbone of crypto. So the entire movement of crypto is basically a movement against your traditional feudal corporations, right? So it's a movement against the banks, the traditional financial system, the stock exchanges, the Facebooks, the Metas, Googles, and all of that.
Right.
So it's saying that, look, you guys control data, you guys do this, you guys take like transaction fees, you have to transfer money, you guys hold my wealth, etc. We don't want anyone in the center, and you guys, whatever, you guys make money out of our content, but you don't give us anything. We don't want you guys in the between. We are going to directly transact between
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
And that's the basis of crypto. So today, anyone, for example, who would have thought, would you have thought, Sandeep, when you were growing up, that you could launch your own currency?
No.
No, right? It's
Yeah.
like a unimaginable ties. Like we grew up like dealing with rupees. हम लोगों को एक foreign currency लिया, that was itself a big deal. We got
Yeah. I
hold
mean,
of.
I remember I used to remember the fax machines which were around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I used
yeah,
to
yeah.
that it had a photocopy option. So I used to my uncle used to travel, so I used to photocopy that. And even that photocopying in the fax paper was so expensive. My mom's like, you realize that paper you're printing, this copy of the Swiss franc, is more than the Swiss franc. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah, but just sorry. Yeah, that's just a little anecdote from the past. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically how we grew up, right? So
Yeah.
launching your own currency and all that. Decentralization is essentially about giving the power back to people. Like you should be able to do anything that you want without having people in between. So that's
Right.
the metaverse, everything that you put. So then in that context, the metaverse. I mean, how can anyone own the metaverse, right?
Yeah.
The Facebook. How can Facebook own metaverse? Because the entire concept of metaverse itself is that you know
It
no
doesn't
one
have
person.
an owner. Yeah. Yeah.
So then that's why these traditional crypto people, they don't look up to the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world and all
Yeah.
those, right? They because it's a movement against them, so they don't take the meta of Zuckerberg very seriously. For them, they are going to be creating their own meta where anyone can
Yeah.
do anything,
So
and
kind of like an open platform for anyone to add elements, right? Yeah.
that's what it is. So that is where it is. But having said that, yeah, see, these people are there for a reason. So you can't write off someone like Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, that guy knows stuff. That guy is really good at what he does.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He's good at what he
He's
does.
no fool for sure. Yeah.
Zuckerberg is no fool. That guy is
Yeah.
like brilliant, right?
Yeah.
So
And technologically, he knows his stuff. He's not just some marketing executive who's spinning a lie.
that guy is just he knows stuff. His level of involvement in what he does is phenomenal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see where this all goes. So
I
Mark
want to ask
Zuckerberg,
you on that point. You said it's a countercultural movement that is backed by technology, right? Which is true and makes a lot of sense when you don't want the same repetitive nature of things, where it's always, whether earlier it was taxes going to the landlord, or whether it's this thing going to the what do you call that, the commissions going to these big platforms. Do you think, because we have this system, that's why the if you want to call it the counter, is getting any momentum at all, like because we have the likes of traditional stocks, the traditional government-held bonds. Is that why these cryptocurrencies are working? And once these systems break down, then crypto won't have as much value?
Yeah, that's basically what the movement is about. That's basically what the movement is about. And honestly, if you asked me a couple of weeks ago, I said, yeah, that's where it's headed, right? These currencies are going to be more, and because I have seen transactions happening in these currencies,
You
right?
mean like a Dogecoin or a
Uh,
Ethereum and all these? Okay.
I have myself transacted in Ethereum, and this thing is real. Then when I started transaction, I'm like, this thing is real. It's like an
I mean, it
entire.
has real value. I mean, of course, it has real value. But what I mean is, it can actually work. Like, because I mean, the value of an Ethereum, say, is really high. So, what do you? I mean, just as an example for people who don't know, I don't know myself. How do you use it as a currency to exchange something or to buy something?
There are different technological platforms where you can actually swap one digital currency for another, where you can transact. So for example, I purchased an NFT. I
Okay,
purchased an NFT from ENS. So there I used to purchase an NFT. I used my Ethereum currency. I did not use my my dollar or my euro or my rupee.
interesting.
So so this thing is real. There are transactions happening in all of that, but it's a promised land wherein everyone that that governments don't exist and fiat currencies don't hold that value. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll have to wait and watch if really crypto manages to do that, because I've seen a lot of stuff happening in the last couple of weeks, and I'm kind of looking observing it. Um, because
It's a very interesting picture you paint for someone who's right now in school, say in the 11th or the 12th, and they have all these things that they just heard from you, which is of course fantastic that you've lived this life and you're here to tell them what it is, and not to tell them how to do it, but this is what you've experienced. This idea of this realization in your teenage years about the education that you're being fed, then this idea of spiraling, all these thoughts and these realizations, and finding this path, seeking this path to spirituality, to this place you're in right now where you're looking at alternate currencies and this world. So what can it's a bit overwhelming, I'm not in that phase in my life, but I'm still finding it like, whoa, there's so much more to learn. So what would be your message to someone who's in their sort of young 20s, late teens? I don't know if they're sitting here listening to me, they may be on TikTok, but if they are listening, what kind of picture would you paint for them, like a little maybe just a sketch?
the thing is, see, whoever you are, you came here without your permission. Okay, now that you're here, and there are only two ways to be here. Okay, either you make the bloody best out of what is there, or either you just let it go. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's that anyway you were not asked, so you will also go without being asked whenever that is. You can just simply be like that. That is one way of living. Or you don't know whether this opportunity is going to come again, whether it's
Yeah.
there, what's there on the other side. Once you've gone, what happens? Who the hell knows? It's such a
Yeah.
big question. Just that you are there and uh, you have been given a certain, and it's very distinct. What you have is very unique from what others have.
Yeah.
Make the most of that. What is it that you have? Why have you been given what you have? All right, and what should you be doing? It's the cosmic algorithm works very, very precisely.
Yeah.
All right. So if you are being born to a certain family, if you have been given a certain name, every damn thing. See, if you look at the creation, no, there is nothing that is haphazard. You
Yeah.
see, even that insect has been made with as much precision. The wings and the organs that an insect has, whoever the creator is, has put as much involvement in making a small insect as much he is made in making a complex system like a human. Right?
Yeah, nothing is sort of, yeah, I mean, while one might be more complex, even the most fundamental things have a method to it, have a design to it. It's not just like leftover, like what we in human beings famously do, right? When we have extra paint, we just splash it on the wall. It's not none of that is there. Yeah,
Yeah. It's like, there is this Kung Fu Panda, one of my favorite movies. There's a
right.
line where I think Master Oogway says, so I think Master Shifu goes and tells him, but it was an accident. This guy wasn't even supposed to be here. Pooh. he was not supposed to come here. It was an accident how he ended up. And then Master Ugwe says there are no accidents in life.
Uh,
There are no accidents in life. So what you think is an accident is not an accident. So that's what most people, I think, they simply just come and go, right? They
yeah.
never bother asking these fundamental questions, like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I have been giving, what am I supposed to do? And so, yeah, I think make the most of. See, it's not even like I don't even know if I should call it a message. It's common sense. Make the most of what's there,
Yeah.
right? Now,
No, so the
we
thing,
have.
the reason I asked you as not as a message or a bit of advice, but it's so easy to be uh, caught up in this whole thing of inadequacy and someone else's story and someone else's message or someone else's agenda, and more so now with easier information being spread, platforms taking over your thoughts, mind space. Someone saying that you become a YouTuber, someone else saying become a crypto expert. There's just so much more being loaded onto the mind. So just something that can give some sense. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Make the most of what you have. But how can someone at the age of 16 even know what they have when they're being told that you don't have enough?
Not even 16, actually. Even no matter what age you are, you can always, it's never late to ask these questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, see, because there are different problems are of different nature at different stages, but it's not that the problems don't exist, right?
Yeah.
So the problem essentially exists because you haven't asked fundamental questions.
Mm.
Uh, so I think anywhere you can always and this can be as simple as always. See, it's your story. You're the hero of your story. Just sit back and just look at your own life story right from the moment you're born. Who are your parents? Who are your ancestors? What just not with the intention of finding out something. Just look at your story. At some point, that eureka moment will happen. Just look at your story. You were born. Before that, what were your parents doing? What were your grandparents doing? Just talk to your parents. Just figure out how was Nana, how was Nani? What did they
Yeah.
do? Look at your own self. What are the things that come naturally to you? There must be some things that come naturally to you. What
Yeah.
are those things? Some things you can acquire also, right? If it's needed. For example, a lot of people may not know this. My speaking ability and my talking is a mix of both. Naturally, but to unlock it kind of took some effort. I was born introverted. I
Yeah.
barely
Yeah.
spoke. I didn't have any human interaction. My father, I love pizzas.
Mm.
So my father figured out if I have to make this. My father is a smart, street smart Bombay bred guy. So
Yeah.
he,
Yeah.
so he used to send me to a Pizza Hut in
Right.
Saudi Arabia. Just drop me outside and give me some cash, and he said, "Go figure out yourself." So then I
Right.
started going, interacting with the guy at the counter. So that unlocked, something. So
Yeah.
something you actually has something you may have to acquire,
And
right?
work on. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And work on. But then look at these things and what comes naturally to you. That is, what are the things that come naturally to you? And it's always good to read. It's always good to read generally what's happening in the world, just to be kept informed of what's happening in the world. Greatest of guys that you think, who have actually figured out what they want to do in life. Because these guys, I mean, Warren Buffett reads like what, 8 hours a day, 8 hours, 10 hours a day.
Mm.
Elon Musk reads a lot,
Yeah.
right? Gates, all these guys, I mean, tremendously just get exposed to the world. So just look at your life as like one story, and you're the hero of the story. What is your story,
Yeah.
right? What is your story? That's what the world wants to know. But if the world has to know, you have to know yourself first.
Yeah. Others you can't tell your story. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Aditya, I think that's fantastic, and I think I really can connect with a lot of the things, and I think it's beautiful. Like, you don't have to be at a certain age, or you don't have to be contemporaries. You can be in the same world at the same time, and I think that's all you need to connect. And really well said, and thank you for taking the time to be here today and sharing your journey and your goals and your passion for life. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. I must say that you managed to get me to talk a lot. I thought some of these things I'll keep for my book, but you managed to get it off me. I must
Hey,
credit
no,
you
no,
for
I
that.
don't want anyone to think that this is a replacement for the book. I definitely, if you're listening now, is the book out, Aditya, the new one?
I think in 2 months' time it should be out. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. So
Uh,
we're looking at a July, August launch. Okay,
August and September 15th, kind of a thing.
guys, go get the book. It's called Aditya.
How I Met God and Got into Crypto.
How I Met God and Got Into. I didn't know the name, but I wanted you to say it. That's how I'm using it as a snippet.
Sandeep,
And
I'll get in touch with you after this. I'll be happy to ship a copy to you whenever it's ready. I think it should be available. I want it, of course, symbolically, I want to ship a copy to you. But otherwise,
yes,
also, I
of
think
course.
we will work towards definitely an audio book is in the pipeline.
Oh, that's
So
lovely. I'm so glad, because the thing is that something, not because of any big accessibility issue, for that will be, of course, something which is important, but it's just really considerate of people thinking about it, because I think more importantly, not even considerate, I think there's a different way the story is told when in an audio format, and I think that's something even a visually sighted person can experience and enjoy. And I think that's something which I want people to understand. It's audio is not a replacement for reading. It sometimes, in my case, is a necessity, but for a lot of people can be an enhancement of the experience. So I think that's really great that you're trying that.
thanks, man. Thanks, Sandeep.
Now, and your earlier book, if people haven't read it yet, is called The Great Indian Obsession. That, of course, is already out, and it's been out for a few years. Um, Aditya, thanks so much, man. All the best for the new book, and all the best for your plans. And I'm really thankful, and I'm lucky that we have people like you who ask the right questions and act on it.
Thanks, Sandeep. Thank you so much. Loads of love to Shasa,
Thank you, my
and
friend.
hopefully I'll get to meet her someday.
Absolutely, we should meet, and I'm sure once we meet, she'll be a part of it as well, and when she's a little older. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Sandeep. Thank you so much. Have a great day.